Welcome everyone to the Alpha Coach podcast. And today we have Vignesh Hariharan, a dedicated fitness coach from Chennai. Now, Vignesh from 2008 has been immersed in the world of fitness. He transitioned from a freelancer in 2011 to establishing his own fitness business in 2013. He's the founder of Hammer Fitness and the Hammer Kettlebell Academy, where he sort of emphasizes on the importance of both mental and physical health. Vignesh's coaching philosophy is straightforward. It's basically practice what you preach. He likes to then preach and actually live the way he actually talks about. And he's got this particular passion for kettlebell training. He's become an athlete in that, and he's represented India in various competitions, earning accolades such as the Kettlebell World Championship title and the Icon of the Year 2018 award. Now, beyond his personal achievements, Vignesh is also committed to sharing his knowledge. So, what he does is through his academy, he's also now trained numerous students, some of them who have gone on to achieve significant success in the fitness world. And his approach is very unique, where it combines resistance training with mobility, flexibility, all of it to basically provide a very competitive and comprehensive fitness experience. Now, outside the gym, I was talking to Vignesh. He's known for his punctuality and humorously his love for sweets. Like he says, nobody can beat me at eating sweets, right? But his dedication to fitness and education is what really made him a very respected figure in the Indian fitness community. So I welcome Vignesh to the podcast, and I would love for you guys to all join us to explore his journey, his coaching methods, and his vision for the future of fitness in India. Welcome to the Alpha Coach podcast, Vignesh.
Thank you so much, Ketan, for that wonderful introduction. And of course, yes, sweets are my favorite anytime, any day, any given day, except
So,
for whenever I'm dieting, that is when I don't.
yeah, actually, now, given that you spoke about the dieting piece, right now, everywhere on Instagram, and before this is off topic from what the podcast is, would love to hear your own journey into dieting and, actually prepping for a certain weight class or whatever, right? So, if you could run us through how you've changed from your photographs that I actually saw on Instagram, on LinkedIn, etc. And I saw you when you looked big, jacked, etc. To now when I saw you today, and I'm like, whoa, have you lost a lot of weight? Like we were discussing this just before we actually started recording, guys. And I said, okay, let the podcast begin, and I'll let Vignesh tell his story as to how he went from being big to being shredded for a particular goal.
Okay. So I didn't have any agenda through becoming bigger. Just like that, I just felt like I just want to put on some muscles. And suddenly, all of a sudden, sometimes your mind will say that you need to become bigger. So there wasn't any agenda behind becoming bigger. But when it comes to being shredded or when I want to reduce my size, I had to compete in nationals, which happened in Goa. So I had to come down from 85 plus category to 68 category. So
Wow.
it
That's
was
17
done.
kgs?
Yes,
Oh my God.
but
Okay.
the duration I took was almost 8 to 9 months. I wasn't rushing through it. I always maintained a decent calorie deficit. I was very particular about what I was eating. I was very conscious, and more than anything, I just wanted to enjoy the process of shredding. I don't want to make it feel like it is very cumbersome, and I don't want to make it feel like as if it is all my life. So
Yeah.
I had certain decent amount of, definitely not sweets, certain amount of a little dessert, a healthier desserts, but the goal was to enjoy the process of losing weight rather than being too much obsessed about losing that additional body fat, which normally most of the clients do, where people they get, I want to lose weight for this reason, for that reason. Instead, I took it, I just had, see, unless and until when you don't have a goal in front of you, it is very difficult for you to focus on it. So even Arjuna needs a point to focus in order to
Right.
throw his arrow. But fitness is a journey. It is not a destination, in my opinion. So in order to make it a journey, you need to have frequent or calculated number of stops or focus points where you identify a new version of yourself and embrace that journey to through that process. So that is what I was eyeing at, and I was lucky. And I mean, as I wouldn't say lucky, I did it with all scientific methods, whatever I have learned and whatever I acquire every now and then, understanding my own clinical parameters and blood work and my hormones and understanding everything. I did it with a proper step by step approach towards achieving this goal. And the journey doesn't
Nice.
stop. I am still exploring a lot more about ideas on what to do and how to do and how we can be more smarter instead of taxing our own selves.
Right, right. So what you described is that you obviously need to have an end goal in mind. So you have had to go from 85 to 68, that's 17 kgs. You said, I'm not going to go absolutely crazy, being in sort of a mental prison, right, to be able to achieve it. But you said, okay, I have enough number of time. You prepped enough. You, like literally nine months is a good 2 kgs per month, right? I mean, it just seems like very easily doable. Also, staying on track for 9 months is also tough. Of course, that's one thing. But what you rightly said, I think, is that rather than trying to go all in, making it like painful for yourself, you think of it as probably, I would say, one of those like a steps, like staircase, right? You actually hit a certain level, celebrate that, you achieved it, maintain it. Next goal is what's your next, and so on and so forth. And you've climbed those 17 steps pretty, I would say, without putting yourself into too much, in terms of too much pain mentally, and been able to do that.
Honestly, point to add here is I don't remember sweating during all this 18 kgs of fat loss.
Hmm.
All I did was practicing sports specific skill because that is obviously required for me to compete. So that I wouldn't practice more than 30 to 40 minutes.
Right.
And that is for exclusively for kettlebell training. And apart from that, like 30 minutes of circuit based resistance training.
Got it. Got it.
Along with that, of course, we will be having warm up drills and stretching drills will all be there, regardless of whatever protocol we train. That is, it's an integral part of the training. But apart from that, I don't recall sweating, being so tired, doing a HIIT program, Tabata, doing a lot of battle ropes, nothing. I was like very comfortable. That is why I was able to enjoy the process of transforming.
Yeah, I think there are two approaches to this, right? There's one which is also in life. I mean, you look at lots of people who want to achieve success way too quickly, whether it's now losing weight, whether it's a startup wanting to become a unicorn, whether it's anything and everything, right? These days, everything is here and now these days, right? We were used to like maybe 5 day delivery, went to 1 day delivery. Now we need
Mm.
everything in 10 minutes. This coffee, I ran out of coffee this morning. I called for it on Blinkit, came in 7 minutes, life sorted. I'm awake for this podcast. The simple thing is there's a way to do it. Both, I wouldn't say anything is bad, right? Why not? But there's if there is a structured, simple process that you do consistently over time, then you don't need to go head, dive straight in and just go crazy over it. But yes, it requires a different sort of resolve, a different sort of commitment, a different sort of hard work versus saying, okay, in the next 3 months I need to lose 17 kgs. So obviously both have their own ups and downs, and both require a certain level of commitment from the client or you or whoever is the actual candidate actually wanting you to achieve that. Let's now talk about how you got in first. From you were in an IT job, what motivated you to get into fitness full time? How did that journey come about? Because lots of people that we talk to in terms of coaches are also from multiple backgrounds, and they decide, I'm either working in investment bank, or I'm an IT guy, or I'm a coder, but I really love fitness. So how did you sort of transition and make that jump?
Yeah, so it was an accident, I would say. I wouldn't say I was destined to be here. Back from my school days, I was more into sports rather than being very studious. But eventually, once you finish your 12th grade, you obviously have to, that those were the times where engineering were booming in down south. So I landed up in engineering post my 12th grade. So after engineering with a computer science bachelor, so there was only one route next, which is IT companies. So I landed up in Tata Consultancy Services. Previously, before that, I was working for two, three smaller companies for a small, brief period of time. And then I went to TCS as a developer, software developer, and I was there as an IT analyst for almost 7.5 to 8 years of work. So during that time, I was like, very much passionate. While working, I started learning about exercises, learning about diet, and I also competed in Mr. Madras bodybuilding competition twice.
Oh wow, I didn't know
And
that. Wow.
yeah, it was a brutal failure. You know what? I mean, I don't feel shy. In fact, I feel proud to say that I failed in those two competitions. When I walked up the stage, on the mic, they announced me with the trunk number they give, right? They
Yeah.
asked me and they told my trunk number and asked me to get down from the stage and try to compete the next year. So my quality was that bad on stage. Okay.
Okay.
But trust me, I was not obese that time. I was very lean. I worked so hard for that particular day. But I was completely natural. I never touched any exogenous aids for that, because those times I was like so scared, and even I didn't even know what is what. And in fact, even coaches, they didn't know what was that. At least now they have a lot of experience. When I went, and the next year my coach told me that okay, no problem, we will come back next year. Followed by that, the next year as well, I competed completely natural. And when I went there, I placed seventh,
Not
and
bad.
I felt
Not
like
bad.
seventh position was a lot. It gave me a lot of peace
Uh,
and happiness.
yes, yes, I'm sure.
But definitely, it gave me a lesson that I should never pursue that as my career going forward. So that was the very decent understanding of what is my capabilities, what is my genetics, what is my mindset, what I can accept, what I can't accept, what are my controllables and what are my non-controllables. I took time to understand my muscle fiber types, because those were the times where we didn't get access to a lot of information about this, unlike today. So I slowly started understanding, okay, my for my body type, and I was a full vegetarian that time, so never took meat as well. So competing with those monsters will definitely, it is not even the right comparison, I would say. So 2009 was the last competition on a bodybuilding stage that I did. And post that, I told myself that I should work on being more functionally fit rather than aesthetically fit. So that was the direction I migrated towards. But then I was working with the company. I had to do a lot of programming, coding, development, testing, and all those things. And over a period of time in 2013, felt like I was doing a very monotonous job which wasn't giving me happiness. So somewhere I was stuck in my IT career, I would say. And that is when I was thinking, okay, what else do I know? If I have to pick up some other career path, do I have an option? Do I even know anything about any other business?
This
So that is when I decided, okay, for now I have passion towards learning technicals, and I thought if I can be a trainer, I can run a gym. That was the initial idea.
right.
Then somehow, I got as many loans as possible from all my friends, banks, my parents, whatever they could give. I gathered everything, and it was back in 2013. I started the Hammer Fitness, and that's how the journey started. And in 2017, I had another branch, and which was running quite successfully for almost 1.5 to 2 years. But just before COVID, I had to sell that gym to another person due to my priorities shifted from business to becoming an athlete at that point of time. So I went to
Yeah, how
Indonesia.
did that? Yeah, that was actually my next thing. So you
Yes.
obviously wanted to become a trainer. You said, let me start my own gym, and then you were coaching people. But how do you suddenly get into sports and become an athlete yourself? Like, what was the
When I've decided that I want to be into this profession, then there are two verticals for this business. One is you have to equip yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is basically you have to understand anatomy, physiology, biomechanics. You have to understand how human body works. You also have to have fair understanding about nutrition. This is one side of the vertical of our business. The other spectrum is all about the skills, where you need to have hands-on experience with Bosu ball, kettlebells, TRX. In fact, there are battle ropes, gadas. There are so many, Indian club bells, mace. There are so many other tools and accessories where you have to improve your proficiency. Where if you are good at it, your clients would obviously enjoy being your client. So you can't give them a monotonous way of training all the time. So just out of curiosity, I participated in one of the kettlebell workshops, And there I realized and understood that it also has a sport behind it. It's not just a tool to work on as a functional modality for your fitness, but also as a sport. So then I started digging more in detail about the sport, and I got acquainted with a lot of Russian athletes, American athletes. I went to a few Australian athletes. Even here in India, I had two other coaches who had enough knowledge about kettlebells, and they were also world champions and other I know they have participated in multiple championships, so I got a lot of inputs from them as well. So that is how the transition happened, taking kettlebell as my niche. So once I started picking up kettlebells, I got fascinated by the way you lift that kettlebells, because we actually fitness as an industry is been there since what, Arnold Schwarzenegger time, or slightly before that.
Yeah.
Otherwise people would have their mindset would have always been towards sport as fitness, not fitness as fitness. So that transition would not probably more than 60 years, I would say. So
Yeah, I think just before him, before Arnold was when the whole competitions began.
Mike
So
Menz,
building, yeah, Mike Menzel and stuff.
yes,
So
yeah,
building your body actually became a sport in
huh,
itself,
huh,
and that's how bodybuilding came
huh.
about. But before that, you're right. It was all about having a physique to be able to help you to be better at a sport.
Exactly. And people never focused on fitness earlier because their day to day work involved a lot of physical movements and activities. It wasn't more sedentary back then. So, this transition, made me realize that being a coach, that I should be aware of knowledge and skill, where I started getting access to a lot of certifications, even if it is a small course or a big course. So even till date I keep learning, not just for finishing a certification, just trying to gather some little knowledge where one can acquire and help your client in a better way. So that was one side, and kettlebell happened in this way where I got fascinated by the lifting techniques, where it was completely different from the conventional lifting of dumbbells and kettlebells, sorry, dumbbells and barbells. So
Okay.
that gave me a leverage of, okay, why can't I pursue this sport? Because I was not good at weightlifting, I was not good at bodybuilding, which I realized it much earlier. Actually kettlebell liked me. It was
Yeah, I think it's that thing, right? It's, even like I tried losing weight for many years, and including with my team of trainers when I was running a gym with Mustafa called Acro Fitness back from 2016 to 2020. And then you need to find that one coach who just speaks to you.
Hmm.
And this was this coach called Akash in the UK, and he transformed me for the first time and got me into this mad, insane six-pack shape. So it's just the connection. So in your case, this was a particular tool in the gym, which is a kettlebell. In my case, it was a coach, and that's how you find your feet
True.
somewhere.
Everybody will have something or some person to ignite that spark within you. My father is a sportsman. My grandfather was also a sportsman back
Oh,
then.
how cool!
So something instinctively I had it within myself, but I realized that I cannot be that person with fast fibers. I'm a person who carries a lot of slow fibers. So slow fibers, it fatigues slowly,
Hmm.
which gives you more leverage towards
Endurance,
endurance
right?
sports rather than aggressive sport. That's
So
why
so
I
longer
wasn't.
running would be more endurance, like a marathon, versus sprints where you have bursts of energy.
Yes.
Those are fast fibers, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I would say I obtained my first success in Indonesia. That's the Asian Championship, which is something as a bigger title. Until that, it was all failures back to back for me. I never recall being very joyful during my school days or college days, being very successful. I did this, I did that. I but but I had been in and around sport all through these years, but I was never successful. So that also was another important lesson that I can, tap my shoulders and say that I never gave up.
So wait, which year was Indonesia, and how old were you then?
Indonesia was 2019, sorry, 2018.
And you were how old
Uh,
then?
I was 34.
34 in 2019. And you
Yeah.
started this kettlebell this thing in 2013 or 2011.
2015.
So 4 5 years of actually competing, and then before that, throughout your school and stuff, you were in sports. So
Yes.
15 odd years that you were actually trying to do something, achieve something, and that's the thing, right? So grit, I
No, no,
think.
no, no, no. I was in sports since my age of 8.
Wow. So wow. Okay. So
That's
25, 26
full time.
years.
Yes.
So it's how does life change you, right? Like you went from IT job to kettlebell athlete. Now then you've gone and trained other athletes who've gone on to win more championships.
Yours.
So cool. Let's get into the other side, right? We spoke about physical health, getting fit. You yourself have had a journey. You train your clients, etc., etc. You also spoken about at length about mental health, right?
True.
Now, how do you integrate that into your coaching? Is something I've been very intrigued about, and I would love to ask you.
Fantastic, because that is one area where I would like to even do my PhD in the future, if at all possible. So one is, neural science and how body and mind works integrated to give you results, not just physical, also to improve your overall cognitive health as well. So the rise of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia and all the neurological diseases, you would ultimately see those diseases, or at least dementia or memory loss, in your grandparents at the age of 80 plus. But these days, if you see, it is more easily prevailing at the age of 40s and 50s. I mean, it has at least started to get into since the age of 40s.
Okay.
So my thoughts started to move in this direction of improving your mental health through physical health. So how do we put it across is not directly to the clients, because ultimately they see the body and the mind separately. In my opinion, they work in tandem with each other to produce results. So your body follows the mind, but if you want your mind to create something, then your body has to work. So they both have to have a proper balance. So once you start to enjoy something, you will not feel exhausted, and that is when you don't feel stressed about it. Say for example, as we started our conversation, you asked me about my journey of losing weight. So what I initially practiced and what I have been practicing for all my clients is to get into a phase where you are more disciplined towards life. In
Right.
order to become more disciplined, obviously it is not your exercises, it is not your routines that you perform in the gym or in the ground or elsewhere. It is your ability to wake up from the bed and take that initiative to go to the gym or to the any other place to perform. So you need to have a fine tuned mind in order to execute anything. So achieving a way of discipline can be obtained only from mental stability. So
Right.
mental stability and emotional regulations are the two major aspects I focus on all my clients, whoever is subscribing to my way of training. So initially, if I would say, I don't give them a very intense program, I just make them like walk for 6,000, 7,000 steps, do some little warm up and stretching routines. That's it. It should be like, they should not feel like as if they are into a program, so they should be very serious about taking notes and watching the calories and everything. But
Right.
they have to mandatorily do some sort of meditation and waking up in the morning and go to a certain place, like maybe a beach if they have, or maybe a lake or a pond if they have nearby, or to a park, or whatever the place that they feel recreational. They have to go towards the nature,
Mm-hmm.
not to a man-made place, not to a mall or not to a shopping
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
or somewhere. So when you go there, you can't be actually idle. You will just keep moving around and you will keep walking. So there was this one client, I would like to emphasize this through an example of how I approach mental health. There was this client who joined my personal training program. He was with me for almost 8 9 years, but intermittently he used to come for 6 months, then 3 years he will disappear. Again, he will come back saying that he gained all the weight back. So that's a normal journey.
Yeah.
Everybody
It's typical.
has that.
Yeah.
So back then, like 8 9 years back, he was kind of fit. He used to run with me. He used to come for marathons, cycling events, and all those things. But eventually, he had put on weight, and he came to me like, Anna, now I am 105 kilos. I said, like, what? How can you become 105 kilos? You were very skinny back then, and what happened now? And he was saying like a lot of stress, family issues, financial issues, and he was going through divorce and all those things. So men, when they have issues with their families or finance, they get deviated. Either if you have a habit of getting into alcohol or smoking, they take up that path. Otherwise, along with it, they will consume all junk foods. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
will hog on to sugar. So that's the other spectrum. I mean, if someone is having both, it's disaster.
Yeah, I
either
agree.
either one is slightly better than having both. So this guy, he was more into alcohol, and he subscribed my program. I gave him every week new variety of exercises, but he was able to do it only for 30 to 40% of all of it. And again, in by sixth week or seventh week, he completely gave up. He never responded to my calls, and he was very lethargic towards whatever he was doing, and he just went back to his own death. And after a while, he gained another 5 kilos, but by then his stress level slightly became better. He was able to manage his own issues that he had on the personal front. After that, he asked me, should I pay you again? I said, yes, of course you have to pay. And then I told them, see, I'll give you one option. Last time you came to me, but you were not following the routine. But this time, if you want to get my training, you have to give me a report for 14 days straight, which is you have to wake up, you fix the time, you fix the place. It's up to you. But day one, if you say it is day one, whatever the time you are sending me your selfie picture in a natural scenery or anywhere, you have to give me 14 days of a
A
similar picture
streak.
every single day.
So a streak of 14 days.
Absolutely. Nothing else. All you have to do is just go to that place, sit, enjoy, breathe. If at all you feel like walking, walk. Or if you want to take the motorcycle, just go for a ride. But if you are giving me at 6:20 or 6:30, then your day resets to zero. If it is all 14 days, 6:15 a.m., you must give me the photograph by 6:14 or 6:15, not 6:20. If you can give me that for 14 days, then we will go for the subscription and we will start working on it. So, this is how I incorporate becoming more mentally stable, becoming more emotionally aware of what is happening inside you. And that will lead you to the next step. You can't, if I say you have to start with dieting from day one, it's not going to happen. It may happen for a week or two, but obviously the sustainability of the program will definitely lose.
So
That is one aspect of starting how a person can become more disciplined, mentally stable. The second aspect is too, as a coach, I feel like I am responsible for not just giving them programs and the nutrition guidance. I also have to understand their real life issues as well to a certain extent. Pick up someone and give them the right contacts. They can get out of their emotional issues, or any, if at all a person is having financial issues, you can find a person from your network who can guide them to that person and solve their issue, and only then they can get into their better health quotient. Because if you are
beautiful.
if your mind is stuck somewhere, then no matter how much you train, how much you feed that person, he may not be peaceful during his sleep. Mostly what I see is either it is marital issues or financial issues. These are the two major things. This guy, I gave a contact of a therapist, a marital counselor. So I connected with him and I asked him to go for therapy sessions. I know it is a bit expensive, but you have to go through this if at all you really feel like you want to
If you
transform your
want to
health.
heal, yeah, absolutely.
Unless and until you give them a 360 degree of solutions to his problems, a coach cannot actually give justice to a client. So it all boils down to your emotional regulation, your mental stability, and that is where it leads to physical fitness. And this mantra I have been holding on to for almost 3 to 4 years now, and it has been working amazingly well for 90% of my clients who are ready to listen and go through this process. And
Three incredible points, right? So the first is that most people, and this is more for clients more than the coaches, is that we don't really eat because we're hungry anymore. We're not back in those caveman days where we would hunt, eat when we had food, eat when we were supremely hungry, then go out. Whether you're a gatherer, whether you're a hunter, very different. Now, everything that we do is based on our internal emotion. If you're happy, chalo party kar rahe. If you're sad, let's dive into a bucket full of food or ice cream and like you said, sugar, alcohol,
Sugar.
whatever it is. The only time that we actually can hope to stick to a plan is when it is actually boring and dreary and you're having a very regular day where you're saying theek hai, if I have to eat this food, I will eat this food. There's no major swing in emotions, there's no major swing of our own personal lives, office lives, whatever, career, finances, you mentioned. In that particular state, which is that boring dreary, then we say okay, let's stick to it. And then people say, you know what, this is getting too boring, I need a change. And then they'll go to a coach and say, I want either a change in training or I want some different diet, I'm getting very bored with this. So they want to sort of change it to either of the this thing. So that was one thing that was quite phenomenal that you said. And the other thing that you said about giving them some anchor, right, in the day, that okay, this is your anchor. Morning, whether it's 6:15, 6:30, whatever. I call it anchor, I call it systems, because people's willpower, people's mental health, the strength of the mind drives their willpower. But it's very tough for somebody who doesn't have it in him to say, oh, I can't do fitness, I can't do this. But for them, what you've done is you built one systems to say, listen, whatever, or anchor, to say, morning, whatever, I want you to go to, take it off your mind. Kal utna hi hai. Send a picture, selfie to Vignesh sir in the morning at 6:15. Now there's no, I'm not internally debating it anymore. I have to do it.
Yes.
Right? So you've suddenly now taken that one thought and ki boss meko wahan jana hai, I have to do it, done. And that is how anything in life works, right? So if you create a system for it in your business, suddenly now you're not overthinking it. Suddenly you're not, this thing like in a gym, for example, in your own, say, fitness academy, lights have to be working, AC has to be working, there will be frequent checks, things have to be put into place, and those are SOPs and systems. So people try and say that, oh, I don't need a system, I work according to this thing. But having a system, it's like oh, I need to get so much done tomorrow, right? What I do is I write it down. I mean, not on a, I've become very new school and from the old school that I just put it in my notepad or just email myself a list of things I have to do. Now I don't have, now it's not worrying me at night because I know I've listed down, I'm not going to forget. The minute it stays in my head, it's the only thing that's troubling me is the mind space that everything is trying to capture these days. So if you can start systemizing what you really need to do, which is important, and put it out of your head, now you're not worried. Now you can even enjoy that free time without being worried. So that's the second thing. And the third, which is the most profound, to be honest, was, and this is mainly for coaches, right, who are listening in, is you're not worried about just getting them physically fit or even the mental fitness aspect, right? You're trying to solve or cure their the root problem of why they are mentally troubled, which is why they're not being able to get physically fit. And you're saying, listen, I am here for you as a human being, as a actual confidant and a friend, as opposed to just being a trainer saying who gets paid for
I
certain
tell them
sessions.
as a mentor.
Mentor, right? So you're actually helping them solve life as opposed to saying just my physical fitness or even mental fitness, which a lot of people say mental fitness these days, oh, it's important. Like literally saying, boss, you need a CA, figure your finances. You need a therapist, figure your marital this thing, go for counseling. That's what truly changes individuals. And that is what this thing, incredible. So this is hats off. This is, I love that particular thing that you said.
Thank you. Because I can't be the financial advisor. I can't be the marital therapist. I can't be the physiotherapist. I can't be the doctor. I can't be the sexologist. I can't be the urologist. I can maybe guide you through a lifestyle modification which you have to do in order to make it better. But I can't
Right.
guarantee you what is happening inside your physiology. So I think we are responsible for a human for his holistic health, not just the aesthetic part of fitness.
Right, right. No, I think one thing that you mentioned about, the sum of all your beliefs are basically your worldview
Exactly.
and what you have seen till date, right? And
Yes.
therefore, you need to keep expanding your universe, talking to more people, understanding their points of view, being open to those and receptive to those points of view.
Be happy to unlearn and relearn things. So
Yeah,
there is a lot of especially in our industry, if a client is having learned or been with a particular trainer for a period of time, and if he relocates to another geography and gets acquainted with a new coach and tries to get a personal training from another coach, that is when the client also have to understand that what he had learned from the previous coach doesn't have to be the Bible. You can always go to the next coach and get
right.
his ideas and be ready to unlearn what is taught before. And you can learn a new set of skills in the upcoming days or session. So, and coaches also have to communicate this unlearning stuff to the client. Otherwise, the rapport between the coach and the client is going to get disrupted. So,
True.
unlearning is very important, and often during your conversation with the client, when there is a resistance between the two, that is when you owe them an explanation saying that no, what you have learned from the previous coach, let it stay there, and what I am giving you right now, embrace it and enjoy the process of new learn. A lot of people who pick up dumbbells and barbells and train, when they come to kettlebells, the first thing they ask me is, will I get muscles, will I get hypertrophy when you train with kettlebells? No. The answer, straightforward answer is no. Then why should I train with kettlebells? That's their next question, followed by which. So unlearning and relearning is always been a ball that keeps flowing on both the ends. It's a responsibility
Yeah.
of the coaches to explain.
Yeah. I mean, idea is you have to treat conflict as an opportunity,
Opportunity, yes.
right? If you look at anything, conflict, friction, hurdles, problems, those are your hidden, gold mines,
Trust.
right? Treasures, right? Even if we did not have, for example, a problem that food delivery was a problem, we wouldn't have
Mm.
had Swiggy and Zomato today. So the same thing, like you mentioned, that if there's a conflict between what he's learned to this is your opportunity to say, listen, that's also good. This is also good. Let me expand his mind to say, you can also do this. And one can run to do cardio, one can swim to do cardio, one can do the treadmill, elliptical, play a sport, whatever you feel like. But let me expand this person's mind and change it. And that person who manages to change somebody's mind or expand it
Will be
becomes the
successful.
person that people look up to anyway. Super. Let's move on to the business side of things, right? Now you started your brand. How did you first start growing it? And what do? Do you have an academy in person, like physical? Do you also do online? How can you explain your business and your model a little bit?
Yeah, I started this in 2015. Earlier told you that I had the mindset of a trainer becomes an entrepreneur. I later realized that that was the most foolish decision. So a trainer does the job of training people.
Right.
When you come to the administrative part of the business, then it becomes total entrepreneurial journey. These two are hectic roles, and initially, due to financial constraints, I had to be the person who does the marketing, I do the sales, I be the coach inside giving general training. Back then I didn't have a personal training slot, so it was all only general training. So in fact, if the maid is not available, I used to pick up the broom and clean the floor, mop the floor, and do poster fixing on the roads during the early hours. So it was me doing everything from A to Z. So that is how I initially started. But over a period of time, probably 6 months, 8 months, I realized that I am able to make a little revenue out of it. So there is no need of cost cuttings. And eventually, I learned business. That is how to employ people, what sort of tasks that has to be delegated to them, and how they can manage it, when is my involvement is required. So I chose this particular strategy for myself. Even today I follow this. If I am able to do something, I should not do it. That's the only mantra, or only strategy that I think. So these days now what I do is, if I can do a particular software thing, or changing the administrations, or if there are any inventory management that I have to do, which if I know that I can do, I'll just, make it a compartment and give that to someone, assign that task to someone, and they do it. This is a physical gym which I run since 2013. It's a
Right.
5,000 square foot place, 2,500, 2 floors. So, and as I said, there was another location which I sold it just before COVID. So I mean, thank God I sold it just before COVID. Otherwise, I would have gone completely bankrupt, and it would have been a complete mess altogether. So I was pretty lucky that time. Eventually, I failed in that business because of my own partial carelessness, I would say. Like, I trusted people as how they are. So that's also another learning when it comes to business. So you can't completely trust your employees. You need to have awareness about what is happening. I would say
Yeah, of
it's
course. You
not
need to
about
have a
trust.
pulse on your business for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So having a proper idea behind how much and what they can do and what are the loopholes that you can identify in the business so that you don't repent in the future. So that is one lesson that I learned from the second gym. The academy was started in 2020, which is exclusively for Hammer Kettlebell Academy, where I am certifying students who want to pursue kettlebell as one of their skill set and coach to their group or one on one, or if they want to train for sport. So all those things are properly formulated and having a curriculum for that, and with practicals and theory sessions, and along with it they also have an exam in the end. So they do that, and it is also physically present in a geography where, I mean, the second floor is all about a CrossFit and
Okay.
Kettlebell Academy together. So this is basically a simple business model that I have, not complicating it too much, keeping it very light, and expansion right now is not in my immediate bucket list. And later, then I will be thinking of whether I have to expand it to multiple branches in the future.
Right, right. And in online, how do you actually do the online coaching?
COVID is the best time where we all learned about online and coaching. But even before that, I was
Right.
doing a lot of online coaching. Online coaching, initially, it was all live video calls. So that was the online training that I was doing before COVID. And after COVID, it also gave me a platform where I can train them virtually as well without my physical presence.
Programming, right.
Yes. So I give them programs and I make them follow, and that gives a flexibility of timing. So clients who are NRIs who live in another country, they can do it at their own timings, no problem. All they have to do is, keep their phone in some corner,
Yeah.
do a few repetitions, just send that video to me.
Video
I
to
can
you.
asynchronously we can be agile and work on their videos and work on their food patterns, and whatever they eat, they just click a photograph and send it to me. I can monitor them and I can may suggest them that don't add these sauces. What are these? How many portion size? I mean, I strongly insist them to have a small weighing scale, kitchen weighing scale to measure and eat,
The
because
food scale. Yeah.
food scale, yeah. So because I on a fine day, I was thinking that when I picked up yogurt, I used to finish like 200 grams casually.
Hmm.
But when I went to a calorie restriction, I just picked up 1 tablespoon and I weighed it on the scale. It showed me 60 grams. That is when I even realized that only this much is 60 grams. Oh my God. I didn't even, I was not even mindful of how much I was consuming. Initially, I was not a fan of measuring and eating because food should also give you happiness. You can't be mathematical about eating food all the time. Maybe
Yeah.
one roti, two rotis is okay. But when it comes to rice or maybe some curd or, or some vegetables or anything, even chicken or fish or whatever, you pick up in pieces. You don't weigh it and consume it. So I started
I'm guilty
insisting
of
that
doing that, by the way.
we are
Everything
we
I
are all
do,
are guilty of it.
I think we see, if you're on a plan which requires you to track it, you do what it takes, right? I mean, it's
Yes,
as
yes.
simple as that. So now we've got simple hacks to know, okay, one gola of chapati has to be 30 grams. So now that
Uh,
that same size is made by the cook, there is no variation because she knows this has to be the size. तो उससे
mm,
बड़ा नहीं बना रहा है, no, don't make it smaller. Rice, you know that, okay, this bowl is
mm,
more or less 200 grams of
mm,
cooked
mm,
rice, so
mm.
you use that same bowl, put it in that, and you have it. So now you're not always weighing it, but you
Ah,
found a easier, less draconian way to measure it.
true.
Now it could be 210, it could be 190, doesn't matter, because honestly, that doesn't matter.
Yes. When it comes to maintenance phase, that is very easy. One, because while
No,
you
I'm
are
doing
in
it
the
on my cut
reduction,
as well. So I've figured these
ah,
hacks, and they're working. And
Mm.
see, you're going to be 10% off in any case. So that's fine, right? So that means you're 90% on track,
Percent on
which
track.
is
Yes.
perfect.
Which
Which
is which
most
is
people,
almost
yeah,
like a maintenance phase, because you know that you want to maintain yourself in this particular body fat percentage, so you tend to create an ecosystem where it is all set on
yeah,
mind level. But
yeah,
for the beginners, for clients who want to just get into becoming healthy, for them they can't do this mind work. They need to measure and figure out, okay, so only this much I can eat. And eventually they ask me, what should I eat all my food all through my life like this measuring? So that is when you need to crack their minds. And I used to tell them that no, it is like, you are learning here. See, when you are getting into a graduation program for 4 years of engineering, you have every year you have 2 semesters, which is 6 months, 6 months of two
hmm,
semesters, which means you are there to learn a set of programs and values and numbers and formulas and everything. Now you have subscribed to this semester for learning. So in order to learn, you need to have proper apparatus in order to figure out what metric you need to follow. Over the time, now you don't rely on your teacher to go and teach you calculus or integral or
yeah,
differential or
yeah.
anything. So it is
Like,
that you need to understand how it works. So
I
these
think
are the
most
set of
people are, yeah, this is, I think, where people actually forget that it's if you just do what you're supposed to do, all these problems will go away.
absolutely. See, actually, there was a client. I'll tell you an example because maybe viewers, if at all they have the opportunity to listen to this part, it'll be very useful for them as coaches. I know there was one. She was a client, and she was referred to me by a premium person. Okay, who is into top in one of the industries. He referred me to a particular client, and I went to that client house and I used to take a at home personal training. And they are also extremely wealthy. I happened to be the coach for her husband, her son, her daughter, almost to the whole family. I was the coach for almost 6 months to 1 year. During that time, towards the end of that 1 year, I slightly felt discomfort in the way they handled me. There was a slight dip in the respect, or I mean, the discomfort I felt. I don't want to term it out, but that is when I went back to my mentor and I was asking. I told him straight away, sir, I felt slightly disrespected or not in a comfort zone. Suddenly, I felt like I was treated like an AC mechanic or a plumber or an electrician or someone. So I'm getting paid every month. I'm going to their home, doing a service, coming back. Sir, I'm doing a noble profession. I'm taking care of their health. Shouldn't I be respected at the higher level? So when I asked them, he told me like, Vignesh, you have to understand the space in which you are working and you have to understand who you are. You fix who you are to yourself. It is the client or the student fixes who you are to them. That defines your value or designation or whatever it is. For the client, if they feel that they are paying you, then it means you are giving them a service. You are a service provider. So there
They are the client. You're
they are
the,
the client.
yeah,
You are the service provider. You can't expect the guru shishya relationship between the two.
yeah.
So that is when I realized that, okay, fitness as an industry, you are just like any other plumber or an electrician. So don't have too much expectation and don't have an emotional feeling towards your client where you take care of them. No, they can take care of themselves. They are just extracting only your service as a small fraction. On the other side, when it comes to kettlebells or people, even for fitness, when they feel like your guidance is more valuable than the money that I pay, there you become more as a teacher and a student. You teach them a skill and they learn it. That is when they become, the relationship changes. So these two differences, if you don't understand as a coach, you may end up losing your peace of mind. This is what he
I
told
think
me.
that's a fantastic point you made. So essentially, what you're saying is that if you're there just to I call this plain vanilla, right? Services like go there, give 12 sessions, train them, come back, collect your money, whatever, in advance, later, whatever, and that's about it. You're never going to be respected because they're going to treat you as this, and it shows in our industry who calls whom sir,
Mm.
right? The coach usually calls the client sir, right? And that's the sad part. Whereas if my son were to take tuitions, my tuition sir doesn't call my son sir or even me sir. I mean, we call each other sir, kaise
Yeah,
ho, how are you? That's a very big difference from when it comes to fitness coaching, right?
true.
But however, if you establish yourself as a person who has, say, that almost magical power to help transform, like, because of me, I am the catalyst that will help this client to transform his life. And I say transformation to say that, you know what, anything, any service is a transformation at the end of the day. If the person remains the same, it's not a transformation, right? um, if I were to fly from here to Chennai, then my transformation is right now at 12:27 p.m. I'm standing here. My flight's at 2 o'clock, and by 3:30 or 4 o'clock I'm standing in Chennai. It's a transformation. It's physically, geographically transformed from here to there. If I were to go to a restaurant and order food, I have money. I traded it. I got a great experience. I'm now full.
Mm.
Perfect. If I were to go for a haircut, and my hair looked a bit shabby, and now I look prim and proper, and my beard's all set, and that's a transformation. Everything in life is a transformation, and it's not just restricted to fitness. It's just that whole overabused term key transformation, before after photos. And if you're able to tell the story well online to your contacts, and people know you for saying you have achieved helped achieve this transformation of this person. This is the case study. This is their life story. The main thing is you need to establish yourself as that authority, or rather, the word you mentioned was mentor, right? Such that you don't become a service provider. They
Mm.
have come to you to solve something, and you
Mm.
are probably a good coach, the best coach, or in what I say is, why are you the most obvious coach for this person, and the best choice for him at this point of time to help them to the next level, right? And that, if you can establish, suddenly this whole service provider thing goes out of the window. You start showcasing value like this, price
Mm.
becomes like this. But most coaches talk about process and price, and value is never discussed to me.
Mm.
So those are the things that, and this is what I keep telling all the coaches I talk to. But I think you made that point beautifully.
The reason why I brought this is because you have to position yourself, as you said, and also tell them earlier, well ahead, that you are here to learn what is fitness for the next 6 months.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
you have to. This is what I practice during my first call with my client. I tell them that maybe you are elder to me, or maybe you are good at your own business or whatever, but here you are here to learn. So for some people, the learning may end in 6 months. For some, it's going to take 9 months, some a year and a half. It's up to individuals and their capacity to learn. So be here if you can be here as a humble student. I will give my best of my best knowledge. So think yourself as if you have come to join a degree and learn through the semesters.
Yeah,
If that is
yeah.
the case, you will come to a coach with an empty vessel. So whatever
Yeah, I
I
was
pour
about to
in,
say empty cup, right? Emptying your
yeah,
cup is
uh,
absolutely important.
you will learn, because that is how the coach will also feel like sharing whatever he had learned and he will acquire in the future. He will constantly keep updating just to feed that cup, because that gives him happiness, that gives him the kick for his life. If you feel like, I know this, I know that, no, this doesn't work, and if you are opinionated as a client, then the coach will become more restrictive, and he will become that coach where he will do the work only for the money he was paid.
Right, right. No, fantastic. I think that's I think the best piece of advice that coaches need. They themselves have to try and be that catalyst, and the client has to know it. Now, it's not just on the call like you mentioned, but I think everything you do to create that persona such that it corroborates from 4 or 5 different things, right? Like, for example, what you write on LinkedIn, what's on your Instagram, all of it points out to what you do for a living. Who is this audience that you're coaching? What do they get out of that coaching? Everything ties in, and people look for that, tying in factor, because that builds trust over time, to say
So,
that even before they call Vignesh,
mm,
right, as a coach, they already know because they've done it. Like, I
mm,
give this example that if I have to buy this phone, or even
mm,
this phone cover, which is probably $1,000, I
mm,
will look at it online. I will want to
mm,
know about it. I will check out reviews. I'll check options. I'll check price
true.
in 3 different places. Even if I were to buy it from the store next to my house, and
Mm,
I'll say, boss, Amazon pe itna price mil raha
mm,
hai, right? Or I want the same one only. Can you get it for me? So, but coaches don't do or put enough information about themselves online, because, and then it becomes a dead conversation. Get directly, oh, okay, it's a coach, acha, kya hai? And then they jump into selling and saying, oh, this is what I charge you, this is the sessions. I think perfectly said by you. Super. I just want to ask you, how do you sort of maintain your, like, what's your day like? How do you manage to stay punctual in your personal interests, your hobbies, like your love for sweets? How do you build all of that? So what keeps you going? What keeps you sane? What keeps you focused? And you also have living a life. It's not just business. So what keeps you going generally? How do you plan everything around?
Keeping things simple and inside a process will
Ah,
make
yes.
life more easier. And as fitness enthusiast, I would say, because we now we have transitioned to a position where we are service providers, but initially we were consumers of the service. So, and you continue to be the person who consume fitness as a service for your own self. So you always ensure that you have a particular way of eating, way of working, having a routine that fits in inside your weekly protocol rather than having a daily protocol. Say if you can't work out today, you should not feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty about it. If I'm not able to work out today, it's fine. I'll work out tomorrow. A lot of people, they feel like, oh, I missed my workout today. I have transitioned to that level where I feel like 4 days of resistance training for this week. Yes, I'm done.
Right.
6 hours of walking for this week. Yes, I'm done. 2 hours or 3 hours of kettlebell lifting this week. Yes, I'm happy. So, investing in that small portion for my own self will actually keep me more.
You've systemized it for yourself, right? Like we spoke about systems, and now
Yes.
you have time and the mental attention span to do the other things in life, and spending time with family, doing whatever you like, etc. Nice, nice,
And
nice.
that
Perfect.
keeps life easier as well. So you
I
don't
agree.
have to, a lot of people ask me, sir, you are into this business, so will you be training for 3 hours, 4 hours per day? No, I never. Even Lee Haney or even Dorian Yates doesn't train like that.
Yeah.
So even in his interviews, he says that he trains even 1 hour. It is the quality that matters more than the quantity. But that is for the giant athletes like them. When they say like that, we are all fitness enthusiasts
I
but
agree.
at least elite athletes, they have systems, they have process, they have a lot of funding and money to support high quality food and etc. And they have managers to manage their business, so
Oh
they
yeah.
have everything on their fingertips. All they have to do is just wake up, spend time with family, go and play, come back home, eat, sleep. That's it. But
But that's also
for
earned, right? That's earned over many,
obviously,
many years of hard work
absolutely,
and grit. Like
absolutely.
we all try and do, but they've just hit it out of the park. That's
But I am representing someone who's after 35 and still being a fitness enthusiast and still want to compete and
fantastic.
still want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
There are multiple dimensions for athletes who are into recreational athletic activities,
Right.
which is not just playing badminton over the weekend or playing cricket over the turf court or a simple football. I'm saying something that you want to represent in a state level or national level, or
Okay.
being quite serious about your athletic life. That is why even I picked up kettlebells, I would say, because kettlebell sport, you will see athletes from other countries who are competing at the highest level of the sport at the age of 65 and 70s. They don't lift smaller weights. I'm saying about double 20, double 24, double 28, double 32s. So
Crazy.
it's crazy. But if you see them, they don't feel like they exhaust too much into it. They'll
Right.
do it in a very subtle way. But looking at it on a deeper level, if you see, they would have been training at that intensity for over 15 to 20 years. So 20 years of doing the same thing again and again and again,
That's what I call consistency. I think that
consistency,
it is the
and they
most
enjoy it.
underrated thing that it takes, that drives success. Like you rightly said, right? I did not see success for so many years until
Yeah.
2019 Indonesia. People would say, "Oh my God, he won Indonesia! Oh my God, all that." But for so many years, 20 years before that, you were still struggling, still trying to do something. and you struggle, did not give up, and therefore grit and consistently just having that pig-headed saying, I'm going to get it done. What would be your advice to a new coach that you would have loved to get when you first start? And these could be two different answers.
I'll answer the second part first. I see coaches. I mean, you are 46 and you don't look like 46.
Thank
I
you.
want all the coaches to be like that. Till your last day on this planet, live the life of the coach and then die.
Right.
Never give up on your own health just for sake of servicing others. That's one most important, valuable uh, advice that I tell for myself, because I'm also a coach. So rather than me giving an advice putting out to others, this is what I tell myself. So till the last day on this planet, I have to maintain myself in a certain way, which doesn't have to be aesthetically amazing, which has to be more towards disciplinarizing yourself,
Right.
eating the right way, maintaining your mental peace, always in a stable position, having a proper emotional regulations, not being obese. Oh my God, a lot of coaches I see, they after they they retire, they feel like they are entitled to have a pot belly, and they keep giving only advices. They don't practice what they preach and say that they did this that in their past, and blowing their own trumpets of the past. So when your client sees you, the first impression is how you look, and that is where it will lead you to how you're going to coach them.
Yeah, I cannot stress that enough.
So
If a fitness coach doesn't look fit,
yeah,
it's literally in your job title.
yes,
Fitness coach. I mean, a lot of people would argue saying that, you know what, doesn't have to be, etc. But
I don't believe in that.
yeah, I think, see, first impressions last, right? Now, if, like, for example, we've got this fitness directory, right? And there are so many fitness coaches who've sent such lazy pictures of themselves. There's a guy standing with a backpack, taking a selfie like this. There's a girl doing some pose in yoga. You can't even see her face. You just see a figure doing something. How does one select a coach, right?
Oh, so
So
true.
so what you said is spot on, right? So first, be fit. It definitely is the first impression. People will assume you know what you're doing. It's like a stylist who doesn't wear good clothes, or a financial planner who himself looks like he's struggling financially.
Yes,
So
yes.
perfect, perfect. Okay.
That is the first thing I would say. And second is, you should know your verticals. You should
Hmm.
enhance yourself in terms of both knowledge and skill. It is not that you if you are an expert in knowledge and if you're poor at performing, doesn't help. And if you're so good at performing and you can't explain the proper muscle names or how it works, muscle synergies, and how integrated systems work in your body, then you fail to communicate the right way. So both the verticals has to go in
Super.
tandem. As long as you are improving your knowledge, you have to parallelly equip yourself in a skill. You can choose the niche of whatever you want, but these days it is all about, you should be a jack of all trade, but you should be master of one.
Yeah.
Previously, it was jack of all but master of none.
Hmm.
Today, that doesn't it's not applicable. You should have one specific skill, be it good or bad, or how. See, even if you take kettlebell, it doesn't have a huge market right now, but I am hoping that I can create a market for during, at least during my tenure in this planet, I can create a market for myself, and
Right.
eventually in over 2 decades or 3 decades down the line, this market is going to boom, is what I believe. But doesn't mean that I should not take this niche as for myself.
Yeah.
I can
Niche,
I
niche,
can
niche. Yeah.
Niche is, you sharpen your skill in one direction, whereas you are also aware of what is happening around you. So everybody has to be aware of your verticals, and keep progressing. At least every 2 years or 3 years, you should have one certification. You should equip your knowledge and start practicing that, and constantly update yourself in terms of technology as well. Understand how AI works, how you can snatch off some knowledge which is more research oriented. Previously, it was very difficult for me to get access to. In fact, I never knew PubMed or NCBI sites earlier. These days,
Hmm.
now if I ask NCBI, it will give all the research data. So you should also, as a coach, be equipped with the technology and get the right information, provide the clients with proper evidences saying that this has been done. You don't have to show them that you used ChatGPT, but you can give them the information.
These
That's more
days,
than
these days, if you don't, you're going to be left behind. I mean,
yes,
honestly,
yes,
it's people who look down on ChatGPT are the very people who probably thought calculators were bad for you, but now
yes,
use it on their
yeah,
phone, right?
yeah, yeah.
But what you said about niche, I think, is a very important point. And I try to tell coaches the exact same things. You have to be known for something. To be a big shark in a small pond,
Ha.
that actually gives you that ability versus
Mm.
being one of the tiny little fish in the sea, which
Mm.
is nobody cares about. The problem is most coaches are not broke because they're bad coaches.
Mm.
The most coaches are broke or rather alone or rather less because nobody knows, they're invisible. So if you're known for something, even if you think the market is small, you
Mm.
anyway cannot service the whole market.
Mm.
You
Mm.
cannot. If I train only men between 30 and 45, people think that's a niche.
Mm.
Busy individuals between that.
Uh,
There are probably 50 crore people in that. You
mm.
cannot train them. Relax. You need 5,000 people as your market. You can
Mm.
train 100, 200 people at a time, and you can make a phenomenal amount of money,
Mm. Mm.
10 times of what you're currently making, if you were just to specialize, narrow down, focus on something that you can do truly well and something that you actually like you said, you
Like
found
doing.
your calling with kettlebell. You
Yes.
liked it, you felt good about it, you felt you can excel at it, and that didn't feel like work. And that's what a niche is. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Vignesh. I think super wonderful having you on. And viewers, I really hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I do. Now we keep bringing in different and varied guests. Vignesh, how can people reach out to you, whether they're clients or just for advice if they're coaches, as to how to do this thing? Where can they reach you?
LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
And this is all under
anywhere.
Vignesh Hariharan, or is
Yeah,
this?
Vignesh Hariharan. Even if you Google my name and Vignesh Hariharan kettlebells, you will easily reach out
Yeah,
to me.
you're pretty well known. You got like 12,000 followers. You're pretty set in terms of your popularity online. That's great.
That's like too much of boasting, but yes, I have had my interviews in almost all TV channels down south.
Right.
So you name any newspapers, they have had my exclusive interviews. But thank God I was so lucky because niche helped me to be there. There are
Absolutely.
thousands, and in fact, I would say a lakh or more than a lakh of branded athletes in our own state. I would say, forget about the country, in my own state. But still, I was able to get that front page with me standing tall on the whole page in the Deccan Chronicle or Times of India is because people they suddenly saw, okay, what is this tool all about? What is kettlebells? It was something they have never seen before. Even though my seniors were all there here in my own state, who had been practicing kettlebells for more than a decade, they never reached the Asia level or world level. So I was the first person to reach there. And that gave me the face to represent kettlebell. So people knew kettlebell, but they didn't have a face to look for. And thankfully, I was blessed by God. See, my WhatsApp number is directly on my Instagram, so just click
Superb,
and
superb.
they can reach out to me.
Perfect.
And
Thank
I
you
don't
so much.
have managers, so anybody can.
You'll message yourself.
I
Perfect. That's
message
great.
myself.
That's
Yes.
superb, superb.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Vignesh. This has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ketan, for having me in your podcast, and it's been a pleasure having this. I